Hello YouTube, welcome to this pre-recorded issue of the Ghostlight Social. You know the score by now. We get creative people on the Skype, we have a bit of a chat, we raise our hopes and we dash our fears. Yeah, so it's a bit weird, pre-record, so it feels a little odd. But I'm going to bring Lee in because he seems a little excited, if not still quite drunk, about something.
Leeds are going up, Leeds are going up. Nah. As champions, by the way, in our own right, Mike. We didn't need anybody to help us out.
No.
We didn't need anybody to help us out. Yeah, I am. I'm not in a good way. I'm not in a good way, mate. I had far too much to drink yesterday. My kids had to help me home, apparently. My neighbour sent me a message to. We've got like this little WhatsApp group, and sent a message on saying, I hope he's okay. We didn't even see my neighbour. It turns out that the neighbour, as we passed her house, the neighbour heard my youngest son saying, Dad, are you all right? Are you all right? Are you just drunk? Dad, are you all right? Are you all right? That's bad, isn't it?
That's really bad.
Really bad.
I mean, to be fair, it's been 16 years, has it? That's the year that's been floating around, 16 years.
16 years, yeah.
I remember distinctly being at your house the day they were relegated.
Do you?
Yeah, because I remember there was a few folk. I don't know if you were having a barbecue or something.
Uh-huh.
Or it might have been a couple of days after. But I remembered it was absolutely very recent. I remembered everybody being very, very drunk. And like a year in championship, it'll be fine. We'll bounce back. And it'll do Leeds good, get rid of all the dead wood, as every, relegated team says. I've said it enough about West Ham. But yeah, 16 years, and to do it in the style that it's been done, playing proper on the floor, really intelligent, attractive football is the way to do it. So congratulations, Leeds. I hate saying that. Congratulations, Leeds.
Thanks very much. He will get a statue or a stand or the new training ground named after him. I think it has to be a statue. Well, when we get our guest in a minute, I'm going to ask him about this because I know he's a big Leeds fan. But we have to have a statue. That it's the picture of him sat on his bucket is too iconic not to be made into a statue.
There was a song I've seen retweeted many a times. I must follow a plethora of Leeds fans of the
Bucket Man.
Yeah, with Bucket Man. And I was
like, brilliant, isn't it?
That's a really good version. And I was myself, I was kind of thinking, if you're a Leeds fan, I bet this is really emotional.
They've done loads of them, changed famous song words and into Leeds things.
When I was in a band, I used to do that quite a lot, but I always used to turn them into rude lyrics.
Well, you would do, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's what you do in it.
Yeah.
Right, look, I haven't got anything to share because I've been in bed all day. So let's get our guest in. Unless you've got anything you want to share first.
Made the papers again this week.
You made the papers again?
Yeah, the national tabloids. For
the same thing?
For the dog in the pond.
Thing?
For a different episode. Two separate stories revolving around the guest from last week, which was Tamara Wall, who plays the villain Grace. We had her on with Gemma Bissix, who weirdly they play sisters, although they've never met on screen because Gemma's character's dead. And there was two separate stories, one about how her character in EastEnders came to an end, and then another one about how her character in Hollyoaks nearly came to an end. And that was in, The Sun and The Star and all sorts. Somebody sent me today and I was like, Jesus.
Are they just spilling secrets or what?
I mean, it's kind of like, so there's a lot of them. So there's a story about it for the first kind of 3-4 episodes. Bernie Latham, who played Mr. Cunningham, who's a brilliantly charming, entertaining bloke. The amount of times people would come on and say, do you remember that time Bernie got pissed and showed his knob at Soap Awards?
I know, I saw that episode.
Yeah. And we ended up where it was him and Matt Littler came on and he told the real story. But it's just stuff like that. It's like all those stories of, there was one actress who there's a recurring story have had a poo in the set toilet. So the non-working on-set toilet. And she was on it for a decent amount of time. I mean, she weren't like a one of the big.
You don't have to tell us who it is, but is she a bit of a simpleton? I mean, what?
I don't know, but the other thing as well is they keep saying is she do, because it's shot single camera, so they do the turnaround and stuff. So they do, whoever it was, say it was, I don't know, say it was Kelly who was in the scene with her. So they do Kelly's single, and then they turn the camera around to do this other girl's single. And during Kelly's single, she stood for the eye line, and then as soon as they turned it round, she was moving around the set. She was walking around, but like proper giving it. Turned it
to
up
try
to
and
11.
put her off.
Well, just to try and she was obviously like not giving anything for Kelly, and then when it was her, she was like, right, no, it's all me, and just wondered. And the camera,
I see what you mean, right.
And the cameraman's like,
selfish.
"What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
So
Not very good. So
yeah.
that's a few weeks you've been in the national tabloids.
Although I'm a bit disappointed that there were no links to the YouTube channel, so it got a name drop.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Very nice. Right, let's get our guest in. Come on.
All right.
Very lucky to have with us writer, producer, HellTV.
HellFire
TV, beg your pardon. HellFire TV. Andrew Dorée. How are we, Andy?
Hungover still, I think. Just seeing as we're putting badges up there, my little lucky badge there, preempted for the Adidas strip.
Yep.
Do you know there's only 600 of those being made, so I'm led to believe.
What, those badges?
Yeah. This kid randomly made them. We were on a Leeds United page when I was on Facebook, and he said, I've got 600 of these. I made them thinking we were going to get one day an Adidas sponsor. I'm selling them for £3. So Bosh, straight onto PayPal, said goodbye to £3, not expect anything. 3 months later, this little bad boy turned up.
3 months?
Mate, I was made up. I was absolutely made up.
Yeah,
my oldest lad, Ryan, has tried nicking it off me about 5 or 6 times. But I tell you, just quickly though, we're on about Leeds United. Do you remember the Yorkshire Evening Post strip?
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a fake one years and years and years ago, and I wore it when we got thumped against Huddersfield when they were still in the same division as us before they went up. And I used to say to my wife, I say, every time I wear this shirt, we bloody lose. And not only do we lose, we play absolutely appallingly. Anyway, I wore it when we played Cardiff and lost 2-0. And I took it straight off on the full-time whistle and binned it. And the rest is history. And I always wear this. I always tweet, I've got my lucky badge on. And whenever I wear this, good things happen.
So it was your fault?
Yes, those lads.
It was your fault.
But I came good in the end.
Yeah, you did. You came good in the end. Having said that, so I'd had my season ticket for 4 years, I think, and then we got relegated. So
that's your fault?
From the Premier League, yeah. So I always say, if I'd have never got the season ticket, we probably would have stayed up.
Yeah. Never mind Ridsdale and his money bag spending.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because we're champions and we're going up. So
that's it.
Nothing matters.
Are we both keeping anyway? Good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm nowhere near. Partly because I don't drink, but partly because I have nothing to celebrate on the scale of which you guys have obviously had something to celebrate. So I think I'm slightly chippier.
You've
I think
got
that's
a
fair to
chipper.
say. Yeah.
Chipper.
West
Ham playing today? Are they playing tonight?
It's Man United. So I'm not expecting much, hence why... it's Wednesday.
It's on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. I really can't keep...
Tonight.
No, I'm not expecting anything tonight at all.
No.
I can't keep up with with the new fixtures and stuff because it's not like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, those kind of days. It's just like weird. So
it destroys your accumulator bets. Absolutely destroys them.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Although I have just been watching Sheffield United and Everton on Amazon Prime, and I think they do a good job at showing the football. Amazon Prime.
I'm down for that because the when they did it mid-season, they just had all the games. It was just everything. And I'm like, I'll pay £7 a month for that. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, HellFire TV. Tell us about that. Tell us what it is, where it is, and what your mission is.
Mission. It's mission impossible should you choose to accept it. That's actually not too far from the truth, to be fair. So, my business. You have to excuse me. My voice is really croaky after this weekend, so I'm hoping it didn't go halfway. But so me and my good pal Nathan Camponi have been writing together for a long time. And I think when I trod the boards at Up North with you, that's where we met, Lee, when you were my esteemed teacher. We just about got a sitcom pilot away on Made in Leeds. And actually, we found out later that went out to nearly 400,000 people across their broadcast, across their network in a week. So that kind of was the catalyst, really. And a mate of ours called Colin Offland, who owns Chief Productions, he just got to a point where we'd met everybody in the industry commissioner-wise, apart from the streamers and the elusive BBC, which now I'm pleased to say we've cracked all of those. And he just said, lads, you're having a bit of modicum of success here. Channel 4 are coming up to Leeds. Why don't we make a go of it? Why don't we, put an official stamp on it, get a limited company going, get an office in Leeds, and see if we can make some cool comedy and drama. So our office is slap bang opposite where hopefully Channel 4 is still going to be, at the old Majestic building. So we've spent probably the last... We could have probably put a lot more out treatment-wise and pitch stuff a lot sooner than what we have, but we felt that building relationships with people and getting them to know us and us know them were probably the better way forward. So we spent 12 months doing that, and now we're pretty much on texting people saying they're coming out for beer terms with most commissioners now, which is a really cool place to be.
Very good. And what's the what's the ethos? What's the idea? What are you doing that's different?
Well, I think throughout all the years, and you'll know this yourselves, both of you being involved in media and stuff, the amount of times you put something in front of somebody, and usually it has to be said, they're usually Southerners or from the South, and you try and pitch something that is about real people and really authored scripts and authored stories, and there is a bit of snobbery that we found between the South and the North, and that's might not exist across the general plane, but it certainly exists in our experiences. And I think the amount of faceless emails we've had where people go, it's a good story that, but no, not for us, see you later. And, then you see some of the crap that Pet's put on television, you think, how has that got commissioned when our stuff hasn't? And I suppose everybody would say stuff like that, but I think what makes HellFire different is we base our business on our values. So half of our slate is... gender diverse, so there's 50% women and 50% male-led projects on our slate. All of our projects are going to have a social diversity and inclusion assistant on there, which means that we're going to run proper work experience programs and not just team making and stuff like that. And they're going to be roles that hopefully we're going to create a network of people that stay in the North, because that's part of the battle. I was involved in a meeting a while ago, and someone from Roland Productions were looking for a director, and I asked, what pool do you all fish out of? And they all fish out of the same pool. And we come from a different world. A lot of our background, me aside, is based in commercials and music videos, and the way that people turn those projects round is at super light speed. But if you scaled up the days that they shoot and the budgets, they're actually feature films. So a week's worth of a commercial, you ramp that up by 3 months, and you're actually talking £100 million feature films. So, so we pride ourselves on being disruptors. Me and Yuli, we've known each other for a long time, and I'm not from the industry. I started out life as a joiner back in the day. I'm like Chandler Bing, I've done more jobs than anybody else can think of, and nobody actually knows what I do. But so I think, and the other thing as well is when we're talking to commissioners and stuff, as you could probably tell by this, and as Lee definitely knows, I say it how it is, and I think a lot of commissioners are used to people talking a bit more proper and talking around the subject instead of talking around the subject. And I'm like, no, fuck that. This is A and B, and this is how we want to do it, and we don't give a fuck what you think. We're going to do it our own way. And I think that kind of makes people sit up and go, no shit, we've not heard this. We've not heard people talk to us like this before. These guys are coming in with all the attitude, and they're not respecting who we are. Well, we kind of like that.
That's the gamble. Yeah.
Well, do you know something as well? I tell you this, I had a chat with a producer a little while since, And I got the old, you've only got there because you're a man line thrown at me. And I thought, that is a bullshit line, is that? So I went, do you know what? Do you know what's really cool about that? She says, what? I said, every single commissioner who's spoken to bar one at Channel 4 has all been a female. So how do you work that one out? So we've done it by our own values, doing it our own way. And that's how we've got to where we have now, by working hard and making good relationships.
Brilliant, and I wish you every success. I really do. It's great, and it's great having more and more, not just focus in the north, but more focus on Leeds as a filming hub and as a creative hub. Because obviously it's great having Media City and stuff over just over the Pennines, and that I think that has helped bring focus away, but certainly Channel 4 choosing Leeds. I mean, and I know technically it is just their offices, but there is, there are the drama commissioners based there, I think.
Caroline. Caroline.
So
lovely as well. She is really nice lady.
Yeah. So great. Right, look, let me get into some questions. We'll go back to that subject anyway. Have you got a song for our isolation playlist?
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to my all-time favourite Oasis song, and it's Whatever.
Nice.
Okay.
And the reason being is because we've just got so far into this COVID thing now, and Boris Johnson has no idea what he's doing, and everybody's shouting at each other, and we've got people keyboard warrioring, and I've got to the point now where I'm like, whatever. I'm free to be whatever I choose to be.
Yeah.
And it's my favourite Oasis song as well, so why not?
I am with you on that, because and I know they keep going on about it's unprecedented and all this and all this and all this, but genuinely they haven't got a clue what's going on. No, and I don't suppose anybody has, but this whole thing with scientists, the whole thing, it's like, oh well, they're just following scientists. It's like, who are these scientists?
Yeah.
And what why aren't when we have a global pandemic, why doesn't the global community of scientists, and maybe they do and the governments just ignore them, I don't know.
World Health Organization.
Well, oh yeah, absolutely.
And we've just flatly ignored them.
And everybody's ignored them.
But then, Jacinda in New Zealand, paid attention, and they can have rugby matches and everything now.
Yeah.
And beers without making appointments and stuff.
It's crazy.
You've been to the pub though, haven't you?
Last Wednesday, Nath were up because we've been working last week filming, but as it happens. And he said, I'll come up on Wednesday and we'll go to the pub. And I said, I better go up and ask how you've got a booking. And I felt like we were going to a freaking dentist or something. The worst thing is, when we got in there, because it's a big old pub, it's pub at the top of my street, there were 6 people in this massive pub. So why could you just not walk in and get the staff to be grown-ups and say, you need to sit away from these 4 people?
Yeah. Did you have to sign a little thing when you went in to say who you were?
Oh, no, I did it all online.
Ah, very good. That's organised.
On the app. Yeah, on the app.
On that. Oh, it's one of those.
It's like, do you know what? It's like the Weatherspoons app. It's just for the pub.
Oh, right.
Bought into it.
It's not an actual.
It's not special.
It's not a Weatherspoons. I thought it might have been a Weatherspoons.
No.
I've fallen out with him. Anyway, good.
That's
all right.
For that politics show.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay. What's the most coronavirus thing you've done since lockdown?
Well, I was going. Do you know what? When you sent me those questions over earlier, I was going to say bread making, but I bake bread anyway. I definitely didn't buy lots of toilet roll. I'm probably going to say search for a thermometer and test my thermometer every time, test my temperature every time the hay fever kicks in.
Which
I've only just started getting.
Is that one of them that you stick to your head, or what sort of thermometer? Or is it one that you stick up your bum?
I'm not that kinky, and I'm not that rich. It's one that goes under your tongue.
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever done it and got a shock and thought, oh no, I'm dying?
Well, first when I took, I thought, Jesus, that's a bit cold. Am I still alive? But actually, because it's in degrees Celsius, I had to ask Alexa to convert it for me. But no, I'm good. Even with this hoarse voice, about half an hour before I came on, I'm like, fucking hell, my throat's feeling a bit weird. 35.7, no, I'm fine.
You said you didn't buy any toilet roll. Did you not buy any toilet roll?
What about the normal amount of toilet roll for a family of 4? So I usually get 6.
Huh. That's pretty reasonable for a family of 4.
well, Ryan's only here half a week, but I mean, the thing is, if you run out of toilet roll, you just get the shower and B-Day special.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
But it seems that everybody and their dog buy from this. Couldn't give a crap. Give a
Who
crap.
gives a crap?
Who gives a crap?
Right.
Which is like you basically, it's online and it's ethically sourced and recycled and all that sort of stuff, and you buy it in bulk, and everybody's doing it. Apparently, I'd never heard of it before.
No, but
Sounds a bit too much effort for somebody you put shite all over in it.
Yeah. And the weird thing is to say that it's ethical and all this kind of stuff. Each individual roll comes wrapped individually, and it's like, how's that like proper and ethical? Just how is it?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't know. We're up for sponsorship though. If
Absolutely. Just every week they're going to mention.
yeah, every single week.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Okay.
Brewdog haven't been in touch either. Every week
they
I keep,
have they?
give them prime.
Yeah. So before lockdown, were you working? How far was HellFire in sort of? Was it fully up and running when lockdown happened, or what? Where have you been with that?
Well, we've not had a full commission yet. We're in the process of that, of this first one. So it's worked in our favour. We've done tons of developing. I think, do you know what? It's worth mentioning for anybody that does it, that listens to us. Even though we do have a couple of fully fledged, inverted commas, writers with agents and that type of stuff, it's probably fair to say that 75% of our slate are just people from wherever. We know agents have never written anything before. So I think why it worked so well is because everybody were on lockdown and had those scripts that they couldn't finish because they were on a night shift or whatever. And I tell you what, when we first opened our doors this time last year to say we will read anybody's stuff, and by the way, actually, our option agreement covers all the legalities for any industry bonds out there going, oh, they're leaving themselves up for a lawsuit. Well, it's not like that because our option agreement covers us. But I think everybody most of the people who sent the stuff in is good. We were expecting a right load of crap. We're expecting loads of Amdram crap coming in. And some of the stuff we've written, and it's so authored and so unique to a person in a specific area. I think the problem that we've had is trying to work out, like if we were going to pitch it to Apple or Netflix, for instance, how to make that niche story global. But yeah, we've been buzzing over lockdown and moving up to lockdown. It were probably slower. Like I said, we were making relationships and all that type of stuff. But Nate, we're all over in Chicago filming an advert for one of the agencies that he works with out there. So it was just normal. And what were really weird is it was normal. Everybody stopped, and then there were like 2 days of not a right lot out. And we never pay for adverts or anything like that. I always just stick a tweet out on HellFire's Twitter page, and before you know it, everybody went, oh, Jesus, we could send something in here. And we got absolutely inundated with some spectacular scripts. Really good.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, like, at the beginning of lockdown, everybody seemed to be going, oh, I'm writing this, I'm doing that. And, it's like the monologues and stuff that we've seen on social media. And half of it, you start looking at it going, you've just rushed that. Why have you done that? If you're going to do it properly. Don't just rush something out. And I felt guilty to it at one point. But I expected that what you were going to say is that you got a lot in, but there were a lot of crap. So that's really interesting.
Quite the opposite, yeah. I think we are. It's fair to say we're quite brutal in terms of you will send us this, and if you don't send us how we want it, we'll throw it straight back at you and say no, do as you're told, which sounds a bit arrogant, but we don't have a big team, so we don't have the facilities to sift through people who decide. Like our tendering, how our submission process works is we want a one-pager, so tell us what it is, a couple of log lines perhaps, maybe a couple of character bios, any background work. And if you have a script, because you don't always have to have a script, if the idea is nice, we'll look at the idea. We only want the first 5 pages of the script because, you guys will know yourself. If the first 5 pages of the script hasn't made you go, God, I really want to read a lot more of this, then it's not going to make people sit down in front of it and go, God, I really want to watch more of this. So
yeah.
That's how we're
it's
doing
something
it.
On there's a podcast I loved, Script Notes, with Craig Mazin and John August. too kind of Hollywood, so it's a little bit American centric in terms of the business stuff. But they do a thing every now and again called the 3-page challenge, where they just get listeners to send in first 3 pages, and they tear it to shreds in the best possible way. They do it quite positively, and it is right. It's those. It's again and again. They always come back to the same thing. It's like those opening pages have to capture the reader. So it may change when it goes to being production. That might become the end of episode 1. That might become the start of episode 2 or something like that. But when the reader reads it, you have to lay out something within that first 3 pages, whether it's a conflict, whether it's a mystery, whether it's whatever, that grabs them, because otherwise they're just going to put it down because they've got a stack of 500 at the other side of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you've only got a small team of readers, you kind of have to be that prescriptive. I mean, it has to be said as well. One of the reasons why we wanted HellFire, especially for it focusing, on Yorkshire and the North and Leeds and stuff like that, is we never got any kind of help until kind of towards the middle when Make It Plum were getting done, the building site sitcom. And Jill Isles, who was formerly at Baby Cow, she gave us no, it's not really for us in this. And I kind of stuck my elbows out and replied and I said, well, look, we think it's brilliant and we're making it anyway. And I think that perked her interest. And she gave us she's ended up becoming a mate and a really good person to bounce ideas off. And without that, I don't think we'd have probably had Nathan's a bit different because he works in industry, but as a writing duo, I don't think we would have had that tutorage, if you like. And we were really lucky to get that. So when anybody ever pitches us anything, when you get someone who's more experienced, they kind of know the business side of it. Because, being a writer is not just about writing stuff. Obviously, you've got to be a business person as well and know the ins and outs. And people who haven't written anything before throw their heart and soul into an idea, and that's why it's beautiful. But at the same time, they care about it so much and they put so much work in. When you talk about what an option might look like, straight away, the pound signs are flickering in their eyes and you're like, you're not going to get £1,000 for this script, mate. You've never written anything before. You've got to take it one step at a time. And probably when it gets into production, if it gets that far, you're probably not going to be the only writer on this as well. And those are the facts of life. And sometimes when you're talking to brand new writers about that side of the world, they've never thought about. And why would you? Because you only know what you know. So, when we're talking to writers, it's not just about the script. We're also trying to give everybody the same type of advice that Jill and other people, has to be said, gave us kind of along the way, because it's invaluable. Because that's not in a book. Those types of interactions, you can't. In fact, there you go. We should write the book. We'll make a fortune. I'll listen to this podcast.
Yeah,
and sponsor them.
Well, it's 2 weeks in a row now. We've been focused on writing. We had a really good chat last week about that very, not just that thing, but just talking about people coming into the industry and how it works for a writer, and especially you were just saying about teams of writers as well. And I said to students all the time that you've got to remember that the writer is probably not just one writer. It might just be one writer, but it's probably been through 5 script editors, or it's been through, So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, interesting. What's my next question? My next question is favorite moment. Your favorite moment in the industry?
I've got with anything when it comes to moments, it's something that it's more of an experience or a feeling I've got from the moment. And I was, a while ago now, I was a featured extra in Houdini and Doyle on ITV4. And there were one point in it, I'd been there all day. I'd said my lines that got cut. But I got paid, so I'm not bothered. And it got right to the end of the day, and it was something like 2 a.m. And I was waiting around because the rain machine had broken. And all I had to do, it had to piss it down, and then I had to get piss wet through and walk through the rain, and then that were it, done. Anyway, I'm sat there, feet are killing. I'm in period costume with a bowler hat from like 1800s or whatever, and I were the only call it talent, but I were the only person who were in front of the camera waiting. And I just turned around to the director and I said, look, mate, I said, my feet, you know what I'm like? And straight away, there's no etiquette with me. I went, look, mate, I said, my feet are fucking killing. Can I sit down? And he said, yeah, sit down in chair. So I sat down in the director's chair and stuff. And everybody's walking around looking at this big Doylan sat in this chair, in this costume. And I was just watching everything, just watching the world go by, because the set was massive. And it wasn't even big budget, but it was massive. Never experienced it before. And I just thought, fucking hell, man, this is magic, is this? People who work in that day-to-day, I'll put it in a different context. About 2 years ago, I went to Filey Bay in Yorkshire, and I was talking to locals. And they're so used to seeing that beautiful bay that it's just fine, it's just the bay. I'm like, nah, it's not. It's incredible. You're so lucky to have that. And I say, I just sat there and they were just packing stuff away. There's nothing special happening. And I just thought this. If I were born to do this, I were born to be in this world. That was probably a really pivotal moment for me, actually, with that. Just that experience, just sitting there waiting and watching.
Yeah.
It's magic. It really is.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. And it is interesting that there is a saying, which is nobody moans more than an actor in work.
Mm.
So especially actors that work all the time, I do think, and I understand it, because your mindset changes slightly because you get used to it really quickly. You think, oh, this, especially when you get to the point where, which, you know, I was sort of at just before lockdown, and now it's all gone out of the window, where you were getting sort of job after job after job, like a jobbing actor, job after job, and you're not sat around as much, sort of thinking, oh, where's my next job? And I wonder whether that hunger disappears a little bit, so you stop appreciating what's around you, because you're always thinking, oh, I'm going to be doing something else soon. I'm moving on to do this. I'm moving on to do that. And it's I used to live in, you saying about the people who live on the coast, on beautiful coastline. I used to live in Scarborough, and it was the same. I know Mike went to uni in Scarborough as well. And you do you just take, but having said that, I lived in London for 5 years, and it's not until I had kids that I actually went back to London and did the sites, because I never did them when I was there.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same principle, isn't it? Yeah. It's
I suppose it's like anything. I mean, when I were a joiner and I were earning 500 quid a day in my early 20s, and you'd still find something to moan about. I think it's just work, isn't it? You just moan about stuff at work. You bitch about people, or you. Yeah. I think because I'm not from the industry and I'm breaking into the industry, like we're 10 years in the making, overnight success. I think anytime I'd ever complain or anything like that is because I couldn't do a good enough job. I'm quite a stickler for standards. I think it's an old-fashioned trait. I used to play rugby. It were only amateur rugby, but I always wanted to do as much as I could do. And saying a guy I used to work with, again back on the building sites years and years ago, and you're only ever as good as your last job, and that's every now and again someone will just drop a little snippet on me, and that stays in there. And you are only as good as your last job. And I think if I were ever going to moan at work on a set or whatever, is because something wasn't going as well as I know it could be. And I know every job is good and bad, and you have ups and downs and stuff like that, but that's probably where I'd moan and groan, is that it's not where I need it to be.
Yeah. But I think that's fair enough. I think, you have to set standards, don't you? And you have to, if you don't set your own standards, nobody's going to set them for you, or that you're going to be living to somebody else's standards, and that might not necessarily be where you want to be. I think that's really, really important. And in the same way, you're talking about somebody that said something to you that's stuck in your mind. I remember somebody saying to me when I was at drama school, they said, well, two things which I always live by, and that is, what's the value of your yes if you never say no? So there's sometimes you have to say no, because otherwise you're just saying yes all the time, and then it has no value. But at the same time, if you don't value your own skills and your own work ethic and then nobody else will. So you have to value it. I think that's really, really important. Really important. Cool. So industry-wise, TV's starting up again.
ITV really soon.
ITV really soon.
Yeah, we'll have a chat with those guys today and the next within the next 2 months.
Well, middle of August was the date that I was told that things are going to start. I mean, obviously the soaps have gone back, the ongoing dramas. But it was interesting because on Wednesday we were talking about scripts, and we were talking about whether scripts are likely to change or whether stuff that's already been written that is going into production, whether how much, because you hear stories about Emmerdale and the fact that there are a lot of phone call conversations now to keep them socially distanced. There's only two-handers. They're not really having bigger conversations, stuff like that. And actually, the conversation that we had in the last episode was that what they found as writers of stuff coming in is that it's locations that are being changed. So there was the thing like what was she working on? She was working on
it was that witchy program, wasn't it? Sexy Vampires.
Yeah.
Is that the name of it?
No,
that's what we kind of.
That's
what we could remember.
That's what he got from it. Yeah. It was basically just it was what is it of witches?
Discovery.
A Discovery of Witches. Yeah. That's it.
Right.
New series of that, and they were saying that what has to change is that they can't now go off to Hungary to film at the drop of a hat. You can't now go. So those locations are changing. But interestingly, what she was saying was that there's a lot of sex in those. And so they haven't been socially distancing from the point of view of those scenes. They're having to do them. And why am I asking that? I'm asking that because as TV goes back, what you said about you said earlier on about there being possible opportunities that have come around because of lockdown. Things have stopped. How do you see the industry moving in that direction as far as taking risks possibly on new things?
I think it's a bit easier doing what we do rather than something like Emmerdale, because we're putting a schedule together hopefully for a shoot that we're going to be doing for a network, and because it's not a really long shoot, we can cast everybody and say, right, you've got to quarantine for this amount of time. So then after 14 days or whatever it'll turn out to be, then we know that everybody's safe, so you can just do everything as normal, provided everybody sticks to the rules while you're filming and stuff. And actually, when you're talking about locations, hopefully part of that is going to be filmed in Morocco.
Nice.
So doubly, you've got to make sure that people on the shorter form stuff soaps have got it tough, haven't they? I mean, I saw that thing that Lisa Riley put out when she was going around the studio, and I know my pal Jimmy Houghton, who's Sam Dingle and Karen Blick on Friendly as well, it must be so tough because they've got to go home to their families, and you can't ask those people when they're doing that as a day, like an office job, Monday to Friday. I've no idea where to start with that. It's not something we'd ever do, but yeah, I mean, I was shooting on Friday, and I've been involved in a couple of shoots through lockdown, actually. And apart from, I'll tell you what was really weird, like when we'd wrapped, and one of the girls who were on the shoot, I'd just patted her on the back. I said, "Oh, that was thanks very much, mate. Thanks very much." And as soon as I did it, I was like I looked at my hand like I could see lurgies crawling all over it. And it's just those really weird natural things that you just do without thinking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we did a course through Catherine O'Connor at Big Talk North, and she sent it our way, and it was a course for producers to be covered. It's a free course that anybody can go on. I recommend it, actually. And so when we were shooting on Friday, everybody had face masks, gloves, hand wash. We made sure that the tables were set up so they could sit at opposite ends, so they didn't need to be near each other. The only time that they were without PPE is when they were on camera, and even then, like you say, we dressed it up with a table in between, but that table gave us the social distance. And until a vaccine comes around, I have absolutely absolutely no idea how we're going to get to do stuff, because writing a sex scene, for instance, it's just going to have to be, pardon the French here, but a mutual wanking as far as
Yeah.
Mutual masturbation.
You're not saying you're not going to be able to do a proper sex scene, are you? You're just going to have two people going out for later looking at each other. It's nuts.
Yeah.
I've no idea. I mean, these big action sequences that you see, like people like Tom Cruise and all that doing, and the amount of people that must be involved in a sequence, not even the full lot. If they're not quarantined for 14 days, what could happen, especially over in America? I mean, it's rampant over there.
Well, it's interesting because Mission Impossible is filming in England, isn't it? It's filmed. It's filmed at Pinewood, or it's filming at Pinewood, and I think they're starting up now. But it's easier for them, isn't it? Because ultimately, what they do is they've got such a massive budget that they just take over a hotel and say, we're going to be filming for 6 weeks. You're in the hotel. That's it. You're locked down. So, and it actually, in many respects, flying out to Morocco or somewhere like that probably helps with that, because people aren't going home. They're together. They're going to be together all the time. Yeah. And so it's easier to, I would imagine, to contain it. But the cynical, one of the reasons I was asking you the question was, the cynical side of me says that the smaller production companies at the moment, like you say, until a vaccine's found, if a vaccine ever is ever found, are going to struggle because of the budgets. Because if you've got a big budget and you can hire a hotel or whatever, then happy days. And I wondered whether that was, there were any conversations that you were having around that, with commissioners or.
Well, I think. Well, let's for instance say we get something away in the next couple of months, and it's a 6-parter. So what you're looking at, 25-week schedule, something like that, maybe a bit longer. I think we were chatting with a guy from A&E Networks, and we were saying whatever you used to feel comfortable with spending, you need to get that idea out of your head, because you're going to have to start factoring in quarantining people who are going to be in it. It's going to have to become part of the project. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do a project. And if you do, it's going to be really watered down and really convoluted, and really crap, and really manufactured. So, I think smaller production companies will be able to cope. I think it's the responsibility is on the broadcaster or the streamer to understand that everybody needs to be safe, and they've got a duty of care. And then we've got the duty of care as well to make sure that the sets and everything is safe beforehand. Increase your revenue streams by advertising more. Everybody's going to be sat at home watching stuff. There's never been a better time for TV and film at the minute, because nobody can go anywhere. So everybody's sitting and Netflixing and chilling, as well as all the rest of the stuff.
And oh my God, there's some bad adverts out there at the minute, isn't there? Have you seen that hair one? That Darren Goff and Warren do. Oh my
I mean,
God.
That was terrible pre-lockdown. That have they done another one since?
Oh, it's honestly, it's on another level. It is something else. You've got to watch
nothing in case somebody I know filmed it.
Check it out, Mike.
It'll be on YouTube, if there's one thing I don't ever want to see again, it's bank staff filming warm, fluffy messages on their fucking mobiles.
Yeah.
Them lot can fuck off.
Yeah.
NatWest. Do one.
But just going back to what you were saying, I think because it's a similar conversation about theatre, about there is a worry that once theatres open, and apparently they can start opening in a couple of weeks. Well, let's see what happens with that. But the worry is that especially the bigger production houses are going to take less risks on the programming. So, and this is just a theory that's going around. I guess a lot of actors are slightly concerned that, for example, you're going to get the old, the old plays that they know will bring people in. With the cast full of celebs or people who who have got a name, and they're less likely to take a risk on something because people are, especially the older demographic of people, are worried about going back to the theatre. And I just wonder whether, because everybody's got to be careful with the money, because rehearsals are going to take longer, et cetera, et cetera. So from what you were just saying about the budgets of things, if everything's been having to be factored in, is there a worry then that you sort of they're looking at two projects and go, okay, this has got so and so, and this is a bit of a risk. Let's not bother with that one. Let's go with this one.
Yes, yeah. And then the other side of that is as well. You then start the stuff that you get to watch, whether it be on theatre, TV, or film. Instead of it being what you'd like to see, you start to get then what they think you'd like to see when it's also factored in with the safety thing. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day, and I've not thought of it like this before. I've had influenza twice in my life. Whatever I had at Christmas wasn't influenza, and it absolutely killed me and my wife off. I mean, literally, I couldn't. We had to get his parents to come and get his kids because we couldn't even look after his kids. Never felt like it.
Wow.
But if you think about the flu's been around forever on it, and I'm not trying to make light of COVID because the flu's been around forever. No one really thinks about it. It's just flu's around, you get the flu, whatever, and you can die from flu just same as anything else. And I think there'll probably come a natural point where everybody goes, fuck it. I think we're not far off, to be fair. And like with anything, I know we laboured this subject to death with COVID recently, and everybody talks about it, but there's going to come a point where there's so little clarity coming from everywhere that the population en masse are just going to go, fuck this. Because we can't go out, we can't see his family, we can't see his friends, we can't go to theatre. We're staying alert. We're looking after the virus. We're doing all. It's just absolute nonsense. It's going to get to the point where, as a population, we're going to start thinking, are they using this to manipulate and control us? I know this is getting a little bit on top, but you know, it will get to that point. I think it'll just become such a part of everyday life that people will just get on with it. I'm sure that's what will happen within the next year. All of this it'll be gone. The disease and the virus will still be here, but people just get back to what they were doing before. Yeah. Look at that thing I sent you the other day about the people with trousers on having a piss. If everybody wears masks, and I know people are saying it's nonsense, but if everybody went to a theatre or a cinema and wore a mask, just like going and watching a 3D film, you put glasses on and not think twice. Sit inside with a mask on, and the chances of getting something is reduced. Similar odds, I believe, to when you sat outside. So if you're sat in a theatre watching a show and you're responsible and you wear a mask, and the theatres and the cinemas should be saying, if someone starts carrying on, it's like when you're underage drinking, the bouncers will tell you to fuck off. It should be the same thing with the theatres and the cinemas. If you want to come in and enjoy this and support your theatre and your cinema and film and whatever, stick a mask on or fuck off. End of conversation. I think that's the only way we can get around it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is the new norm. You know but without wanting to, because I can't be asked getting too political. But you know, how wasn't that the thing from the beginning? Do you know what I mean? And this whole when it's like, when it first was introduced on London Transport, it was like they announced it on the Friday or something, and it was like a week on Monday it comes into force. And you go in, why not now? Or why not Monday? Give everybody 2 days to get some masks, and you know, it's like it's bonkers.
Have a box in the cab of every driver, so they can go, "You're not got a mask here. Have one of these." It's simple shit like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, I went to White Rose today for the first time in like 6 months because I don't like it anyway. But I went partly because walking around my park with my daughter, who started to drive me absolutely insane. Especially the last 2 weeks, my wife's been working pretty much full time, so I've been on full time dad duties for 2 weeks. And this is how insane I got from just having a conversation with an 18-month-old for 2 weeks. Is I, up until yesterday, was convinced she was autistic.
Why?
Because she is really shit at answering her name. And
she's 18 months old, bro.
I know, that's the thing. And I'd done the mistake of going on Google and going, how, you know, looking for ways that I can improve how she responds when I say her name. And the first paragraph was,
when she done.
yeah, Piper.
Or she's just learned really early to ignore you.
Well-
I'll get used to that, mate. Get used to that.
Classic, yeah,
But like
classic.
the first paragraph I read was that is the key sign of autism. And so having worked with autistic people for like 20 years on and off, I started to spot other things. And then I was just utterly insane by, yesterday. I was just so anxious about it. And I was like, finding the number for the referral to do this toddler test and all this kind of stuff. And then this morning I just said Piper, and she just looked at me, and I was like, oh, you are just ignoring me. And then all day, every time I've said a name, she's looked at me as if she's like gone, right, I've put you through 2 weeks of shit, now I can let you off a bit. But yeah, it's just utterly insane. But yeah, I went to White Rose. That was a bit of a diversion, just for something different to do. Probably about 80% of the people in there had masks on.
I thought you had to wear masks now.
24th.
24th, is it?
Yeah. The shops that were still in business had one, like where they have the big shop front and it's open. So they cordoned off one, and you had to go in that way and then go around the shop in a certain direction. And then the other half was out. And they had either people on the door, or they had a sign in the window which would either like, come in, there's enough room for you all to be in, or stay out with too many people in, kind of thing. And
like a traffic light system.
Yeah. And that seemed to, and there's like a one-way round, you can only walk so many way around the actual shopping centre itself. There were certain points where you could do a U-turn, and then there was the big roundabout at the other end by Sainsbury's where you could come back up the other way. And it were fine, because it's, if you take out the stickers on the floor and you take out the queues of people who were wanting to get into H&M, that's exactly what I'd have done anyway going to White Roses. I'd have gone in that door, I'd have turned left, I'd have walked down that side, I'd have turned around the big roundabout at the end, and I'd have come back up the other way. And it just feels normal. And it was nice. Which is weird. You can tell I've been deprived of shit for so long. Is that a trip to the White Rose, I was like, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I didn't buy out
I went
either.
down to our office last Friday and sat I was waiting for somewhere, and I went and had a Starbucks, sat outside Starbucks working on my phone outside, and I was like, I used to hate doing this, and I ain't done it for like 3 months. I love it now.
Expectations have dropped, haven't they? The littlest thing is just like, I really like this.
Yeah.
And all sorts of weird shit.
Took it for granted, you see.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had a conversation with my wife, and I didn't resent her one bit.
What, the White Rose?
No, just today.
Oh, just today. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, that's,
it was
that's
all
a
right.
step forward, isn't it? A step forward.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Last question, because time is cracking on. Time is cracking on.
I'm going to say we're still doing an hour, and we've only got one guest.
I know you've been doing. I know. That's because you've been talking too much.
It's because I'm a gobshite.
It's quality content, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. What? I know you've been doing, and you've got your. So I might know the answer to this question already. You've got your Whiskey Wednesday T-shirt on. You've been doing your quiz during lockdown as well. But what's been your vice?
Eating lots of shit.
What is that? Because you couldn't get hold of any toilet roll?
Yeah. Do you know? I must admit, I train, or I did train in a gym with my pal Lizzie quite regularly, and then I did what everybody did, and I was lifting rocks and all sorts of nonsense in garden. And I had some resistance bands, and when we moved house, I totally forgot I had them, and it was like finding gold when I found them. I'm like, fucking yes! So I had a bash with those, and then I got to the point where I just thought, my elbows and my wrists are still clicking really bad, and I don't want them to do that anymore. So I started walking, and I downloaded the Ordnance Survey map app. So I live in Birkinshaw now, and there's tons of fields everywhere. And there's so many places that I found you could walk, like footpaths through fields and stuff like that. So I suppose this sounds really boring, but I think my advice were actually going out and walking. And I've lost about a stone just from doing about 3 miles a day. And then we bought a dog who's laid down here, and she stinks. She's fighting every 5 seconds. But she's a 4-month-old border collie puppy, so she's got energy for days.
She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, and you just get up and go out walking, and there were a couple of days when I were out, and I must admit, I think we spoke about this, Lee, over the phone, and I used to suffer from anxiety really bad. I had a nervous breakdown in 2013-14, and I wouldn't say it were a long road to recover, but it's still around. But I'm on it. I know it, and I can own it. And at the start of lockdown, there's all this mental health stuff, and I thought, nah, fuck this. I've been through worse than this. This was a proper bloke thing to do. Like I shouldn't have done, but I did. And then after about 3-4 weeks, about Easter time, my youngest son Ted, who's lovely when he's lovely, but he's a complete bastard when he's not, fucking off his tits, he went absolutely insane. And then Jenny's working at home, and I'm working at home, and Ted's off his rocker, and Ryan's trying to homeschool. He's 12 years old, and I'm Christ on a bike. So I were out this one day, and I saw a photo of it on my Instagram. And when you go on the A650 bypass, you can look over Kirklees, beautiful, beautiful country, and the sun were going down, and I had my AirPods in, and I'm just stood on this beautiful scene, listening to music, and it just filled me with, the only way to say this is it filled me with such joy. And I thought, I'm going to do this every day, and make sure I do this every day, even when I don't want to. And just about it's kept the anxiety demons at bay. I've had a couple of wobbles, don't get me wrong, but it's kept it at bay. And now we can start doing more normal things like going to the pub or filming on Friday. I stayed over in Manchester on Thursday night, and I was like, great, it was brilliant. So yeah, walking has been my salvation. It really has.
Nice. Yeah. And did you get the dog during lockdown or just before, or how long have you had her?
We picked her up during lockdown, but I got her before. It was on the evening of a Whiskey Wednesday, and I made one of all my good decisions made when I'm drunk. And she were only £400, and that was the limit that I wanted to spend. And I didn't ask my wife or anything like that. I got a right bollocking for getting her.
I bet
proper right bollocking. But she's just one at family now. She's friends with cats, so both cats are mates with her. And she runs around with Ted like two little best pals. But she's been like over the last 15 weeks because we're lucky to have a really big back garden, and it gives you something else to do. I know that sounds daft, but you've just got something else to do because you've got a dog that you can play with, or you've got your kids you can mess around with, your garden on a trampoline, all that type of stuff. It's just brings another dynamic to his family. Yeah,
and I'd said this before on previous shows that we got our dog in October. Towards the end of October, and I wouldn't have been out every day walking without him. But we do 5 or 6 miles probably a day, and it's an absolute godsend because I'd have gone absolutely stir crazy. And it was interesting what you were saying about the kids as well, because especially I can see now that if we'd have gone on much longer not being able to get out, I think my kids' mental health would seriously have started to suffer. I think my 10-year-old has, I think, suffered from it. They've both done tremendously well. We haven't had any meltdowns really, but then they just, because they need socialization, they need, and it's not, it's like, it's wonderful being at home with your kids, but they don't need you as much as you need them. They need other kids.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they're starting to be able to get out now. And I mean, my 14-year-old's off and gone. He's been going out for weeks, but
we got. I know this is a really stupid because Ted's only 4. He's going on 5. It got to the point where the only way he could interact with other kids. I mean, Ryan's a lot older than he is, but they were together. But he needed a kid his own age, and the only way we could do it is to let him go on Fortnite. And luckily, my friend Catherine, her little boy James, is about the same age as Ted. And as soon as he put the headphones on and got into a game, he started jumping around, and it was good exercise for him. I mean, all he ever talks about now is Fortnite, so it does his bloody head in. But he got to interact with another child, and the change in him was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sam plays Fortnite a lot, and he is talking to his friends, etc. There's often arguments, but it's just getting back to playing football and getting out and just doing those things because running, but running with their mates and not being with their parents and swearing and whatever else that kids do when they're 11 years old. It's I think that I do worry about kids generally during lockdown, but I think there'll be a lot of kids that are potentially a lot worse off than my kids were. I think.
Yeah.
And that's
got to be grateful for what we have for them.
Absolutely. I haven't got any more questions, and it's 9:15.
Jesus, it'll be my bedtime soon.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to collapse. It's taken every bit of my energy to get up and sit here and talk.
I appreciate the effort, mate.
No. Thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure, and we'll be watching HellFire with great interest.
Absolutely.
Well, with a bit of luck, you'll be in front of the camera on a HellFire project.
That'd be quite nice. And it'd be nice to be behind the camera as well at some point. Helping out or coming along. It'd be great. It'd be really good.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna, before I bug out, I'm just gonna say that if anybody who's listening wants to put a script or an idea our way, go onto our Twitter. It's at HellFireTV or something like that. I can't quite remember. Or email aup@hellfiretv.co.uk. If you want to know a little bit more, I'm absolutely fine for people to email. That's the generic email, so me and Nathan get both of those. If anybody's got any ideas or got any scripts or anything like that, as long as it's something to do with the north, or it's got some kind of location or connection to the north or whatever like that, we want to hear it. We don't want any convoluted stuff that you've seen all the time from London. We don't want any London-focused, London-centric stuff. We're in the nations, we're in the regions, and we want to exploit what we've got up here. And if you want to chuck out over to us, we'd be happy to see it.
Well, we'll get those on. We can get those on screen, can't we?
Yeah.
I have been wanting to come on for a while, but I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No, thanks very much.
Absolute
it's
pleasure
to see you. I know we've spoken a couple of times, but it's nice to see you face to face.
One day we might actually get to see each other in the flesh as well. Imagine that.
That'd be quite nice. Well,
to be fair, if you I've got to go down to office at some point. So if you're ever going to be in Leeds, either of you, and you want to have a coffee or something like that. In fact, do you know what? Last time, I know we've got a bugger off in a sec, but last time we had a coffee, I think we were filming something in that Pinnacle. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
And we went to Angelica and got coffees, and that fire alarm.
And fire alarm, we walked off.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right, brilliant. Do you remember that?
Did we get like a load of like
as well?
Did we get like some biscuits and all and some cake or shit on that second round of coffees?
Well, yeah, because we got the second round, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I think we got a bit of cake or something as well.
No, right,
we can't be the audience. Everybody must have just thought, "Oh bollocks, I'm off."
That was ages ago. Wow, God, how long ago was that? 5 years, something like that.
Yeah,
probably.
Because I remember we had like a breakfast in Calf's Bite River.
Yeah, we did. We had a fry up by that cafe just as you go over, as you're going away from Adelphi, that first cafe right inside. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Happy days.
All right, lads. Well, I will bugger off, but yeah. Yeah,
thank you, mate. We'll just wrap it up. But yeah, feel free just to log off and speak to you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Very good, Michael. Very good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did. He's a entertaining, intelligent, knows some shit about the industry kind of dude. Exactly the sort of entertaining stuff I like to sit and listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it looks like you've got some editing to do.
Have I? Am I doing that? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to upload it as well? I mean, this is the end of the show, and we're just talking like nonsense.
Well, you're going to edit it around. Yes, and we'll be back next week. We'll be back next Wednesday. Look out on social media for guests, etc., etc.
Live as well, probably.
Live, because this is the first time that we've done a pre-record.
Yeah.
So just scheduling.
Sorry to everybody who normally joins in the chat. Dale, Sarah.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Hello, Dale. Hello, Sarah.
Yeah.
Jeremy. Hello. Hopefully they'll be watching.
Talking amongst themselves, because I'm going to do it. I'll set it up as a premiere so they can all have a chat.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And I'll try and log on and have a chat at the same time. I'll try to do that.
Yeah, I might just play Fallout 4 instead.
Yeah. Could do that. Yeah. Right. Okie dokie. Happy days. Thanks, Matt. And I'll speak to you later.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out of your sick bed and dusting off your hangover.
Never again.
Hopefully, though, that'll be the last time Leeds ever get promoted.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So the next time I get as drunk as that, we'll have had to have won the blooming
FA
I
Cup
don't know,
or something.
Champions League or something. So a long time.
Yeah.
A long time.
I want to say just a quick football thing. What when teams get promoted, and as a West Ham fan, I'm fully in the club of promoted teams. What is your hope in terms of the team? Do you hope that they stick with the team that came up because they're a winning side?
I don't think there'll be a lot of choice because the way that Bielsa plays, and interestingly, I understand a few years ago, about 4 years ago, West Ham tried to get him.
Yeah, at the time, nobody knew who the bloody hell he was, so we were a bit like... and he was like 8th choice or something, behind Alan Kirbishley again.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have any choice because the way that he plays, any new players coming in will take... he says that to get, as long as they're fit, to get them match ready for his side, they have to do 40 training sessions.
Right. Which is...
So he doesn't just bring players in and go, okay, you can start up front. It's not how it works.
No.
So essentially, we will probably, I reckon they'll go out and buy 3 or 4 players, but the chances of them starting are next to zero.
It's going to be November, innit?
Yeah, at the very earliest.
Because that's...
I think
that's kind of how, without getting too, this isn't a football podcast, but that's kind of how I always hope teams do when they come up, is stick with the team that got promoted. They're a winning side.
You've got to give them a chance. Yeah, you've got to give them a chance.
If it's dog shit, you've got January, and you can go in and get Nicholas Anelka for £5. Do you know what I mean? Those kind of, you know...
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Bielsa is staying. He hasn't got a contract, but I'm sure he will for a year. But yeah, I can see. I think they deserve a chance because of how they've played. And you know, like you say, I think that they will bring players in that will improve the squad, but those players won't play the first 10 games at least, depending on when the season starts. So then we'll know 10 games in whether we're shite or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's just hope. Because it'd be nice to have another Yorkshire team. It'd be nice to have a Yorkshire team in there just because I like the away days. I remember when we were in the Championship near on 10 years ago, I did Leeds away, and that's an experience. That's an absolute experience. It's the first game I took my wife to.
Oh God! When you sat in the? Did you sit in the West Ham man?
We were in the corner, yeah, in the way.
Because they don't go in the cheese wedge anymore. The away fans.
Do they not?
No, they go in the West Stand, and it spoiled the atmosphere a little bit.
Yeah,
be interesting.
Some atmosphere there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
happy days.
Yeah. So that about wraps it up. We might cut the football out. Let's see.
Might do that.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching this pre-record. Thanks to Andrew for coming on. I don't know, does he like being called Andrew, or is it Andy? I know you kind of...
I think he answers to anything.
Yeah. It's just always nice to give people the full name. So many thanks to him. We'll put all the details for HellFire in the link in the description, and we'll stick them up on the screen earlier in the episode, so just scroll back if you missed it. Join us next time live on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter, on the same time, the same channel, youtube.com/numbers and letters, because we haven't got our URL back. Adios.
Leeds.